Hey, part 2, let's just jump into it. Karaz the Locust is the next boss. Karaz will use an ability called Flash, charging at random players around the room. Anyone caught in the path will be smacked by whirling. This causes the target to spin in place and suffer high damage every second. This will also hit people in a small radius around the target. It is possible to dodge the stun if he charges at you, just move out of the way, but this is obviously easier said than done. The boss will also cast Hurl Amber, where he hops onto a ledge and chucks down pieces of amber at the raid. The amber will leave void zones where it lands, and obviously people need to not stand in them. Clicking on Karaz's corpse will grant DPS strong legs, which will allow them to jump up to the platform where they can throw down amber and deal high nature damage in a 15-yard radius wherever the amber lands. The thrown amber actually also shatters Corvins in case an amber spell. Keep that in mind. I would say this guy's not too bad. Get him dead fairly quickly if you can, but he's not the highest and most annoying guy out there. The next guy is Skier the Bloodseeker. The boss has a stacking tank debuff called Hewn. This causes the tank to take 10% increased damage from the attacks of Rikal the Dissector. This is really only an issue if Rikal is up. If he is, obviously one tank has to take Rikal while the other is on Skier. Bloodletting will summon small adds called Bloods. 2 adds will spawn and they will move towards a damaged boss. If they reach the boss, they will heal him depending on how much health the add has when he gets there. These adds need to be DPS down quickly. The adds can be stunned, slowed, and all the good stuff, so take advantage of that. Clicking on this guy's corpse will grant DPS Bloodthirsty. Using Bloodthirsty gives DPS attacks a chance to summon a blood orb in the area. Walking over said orb will heal the target for 10% of the player's health, so this has a 10-second cooldown. Skier is not too high on the priority, but take him out early as possible. Rikal the Dissector. The boss casts Genetic Alteration, which is a tank debuff that increases damage taken by Skier's attacks by 10% per stack. As mentioned before, the two cannot be tanked by the same raider. Injection is a stacking debuff used on Rikal's target. It deals little damage per second for each stack, but when the ability expires, it causes adds called Amber Parasites to spawn. These adds will fixate on random players, dealing good damage to them through an ability called Feed. The ad will be healed back to full health every 10 seconds, so DPS need to focus these adds down quickly. These adds are not applied to tanks under active mitigation abilities, so use your mitigation to drop or delay the stacks. This ability will require a tank switch. This boss will also turn random players into scorpions for 30 seconds. These lucky players will take periodic damage and will only be able to use a few cool scorpion abilities. Claw deals damage to the target, Swipe deals damage in a frontal cone, dealing double damage to targets affected by Sting, and Sting is a dot that causes nature damage every second. Prey will kill Amber Parasites. Mad Scientist is gained from clicking on Rikal's corpse. This will allow players to turn into a scorpion for 30 seconds. I would say Rikal's probably higher on the priority. He is quite annoying and his scorpions can start to get out of hand with the amount of damage that they do periodically. The next boss is Hissek the Swarmkeeper. The boss uses multi-shot, which deals damage to random raiders. Woohoo. Aim will also regularly be used. It is used against a random raider, stunning them for 5 seconds. The ability will knock back targets 45 yards if they are too close to the boss. After 5 seconds, the boss will shoot a beam from him to the target, dealing high damage and splitting the damage between all players hit. Anyone hit will create a sonic resonance, dealing decent damage within 5 yards. To deal with this, have 4 people stand in a line between the target and the boss, leaving little gaps in between them to split the damage. Clicking the corpse will give Compound Eye. DPS will gain an extra action button that allows them to fire a shot at an enemy, dealing good damage and increasing the target damage taken by 15% for 10 seconds. The ability will deal more damage the further away it is used from the target, so have a ranged DPS pick this one up and use it whenever it is available. This guy's kind of annoying, but again, not the worst. Kilruck the Wind Reaver is the next boss. This boss will cast Exposed Veins, which is a tank debuff that makes the target take 10% increased damage from the attacks of Zaril the Poisoned Mind. These two cannot be tanked by the same player, of course, just like the other two bosses can't be. Death from Above is used every 20 seconds and causes the boss to leap into the air and smash down at the location of a random raider, dealing good damage in a 5-yard radius. This will have to be avoided. There's a little indication on the ground that will show you what will be used, but you don't have much time to react. Gouge will incapacitate the tank, which Mutilate will then be used. This deals a large amount of damage to the target, and these abilities will just have to be toughed out. Clicking the corpse of the boss will give Reeve. This allows DPS to leap forward and deal high damage to all enemies in a 10-yard radius. This ability will be able to remove the shields off Kunchongs, although there's really no point to doing so or killing Kunchongs because another one will just spawn in its place. This guy's still low on the priority, unless Zalril is alive, in which case you might want to take him out. So it turns out there's going to actually be 3 parts to the video. Check out for part 3 coming soon.